Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
We're here together today, and we haven't been on YouTube in a while, so we wanted to do one, especially since we're together. We wanted to first off mention that we have been doing Kundalini group activations, and they've been really a wonderful experience for everyone involved. I think the people doing them are getting a lot out of them, and so are Robin and myself. And we have one coming up April 25th. That would be at 1 p.m. Pacific time. There are some spots open in that. So if anyone is interested, you can see on our website how to sign up for that. We also still have our downloadable Kundalini courses and a membership Q&A. The membership Q&A, we do live channeling once a month. You're able to send your questions in. It's really been nice. We have a really good group of people, lots of good questions. Also, along with that, we do written transmissions from Athena twice weekly that get emailed to you as well. So if anyone is interested in checking out any of those things, they're on the website. And we wanted to talk to you today about just a few things, some things that Robin's been noticing in her sessions that people maybe are struggling a little bit with. And then also we wanted to touch on, we just had a lunar eclipse and we have an upcoming solar eclipse. So we wanted to talk about those as well and the effect that they're having on people on the planet today. So, okay, we're going to get started. And our first question is, we just had the lunar eclipse. What can you tell us about that as far as its effect on us? And is there any correlation to the upcoming solar eclipse?
Well, let's just talk about the upcoming solar eclipse because that's what's coming next. Yeah. And what we want to say is that as people experience this eclipse that is going to occur, they are going to notice that there is an uptick in what it is that they experienced in their life over and over again. So in other words, entrapments, things that you have going on repeatedly in your life are going to be magnified or start to become unavoidable or unignorable. Let's use that term. And so this acceleration, we would liken it a little bit to what we are working on with Kundalini releases in people, where Kundalini will accelerate negativity or experiences that are held within the human if it is preventative of them reaching the soul aspect's goal of how it would like to express itself in the life that it's in. And so this solar eclipse is similar to that. In fact, that it wants to illuminate within you what it is that is preventing the soul aspect of you from living out what it really intends as its expression upon the plane. And so we don't want you to be afraid or worried about anything, but we want you to understand that there is this high divine part of you, this speedier rate of vibration that really does have a desire to live out its expression in form. And up to this point, you as a human have been largely left with your free will to decide how it is that you pick and choose in your experience and what it is that you hang on to in the form of negativity that can sometimes actually prevent you from experiencing what the soul aspect of you would like to experience. So there's going to be a little bit of a stepping up as far as the soul aspect of you is concerned, and that is provided through this solar eclipse. It's a magnification, if you will, of energy that you have maybe hidden behind, maybe not been able to transcend from one lifetime to the next, or even simultaneously lives. And so this is going to be the time when you are actually going to bring into fruition the soul aspect of expression of yourself. If there are things that you have been hanging on to in fear, in angst, in worry that have prevented you from actually moving forward in your life, maybe out of your job, maybe in a relationship you're in, something that's preventing you from full alignment to the soul aspect of yourself, those types of things are going to become magnified and will cause you to move.
Okay, and what would be the timeline? I mean, I know it's coming up in April, but like, how far out will this energy be affecting us?
Yeah.
Weeks, months?
It will affect you for months. The energy it's always a gradual thing. It's like a Kundalini rising. It is the same type of thing. It's like puberty. Notice how it is gradual. There is a change that comes. But it is not a momentous, identifiable in the moment change. It's something that evolves or comes in a very gradual way. Let's use that term. Of course, the 8th of April isn't going to hit, and then all hell break loose. That's not what's going to happen, but there's going to be a shift into that energy and a very gradual unfolding towards the soul aspect of yourself and a revealing of what you are holding within you that's preventative of you actually achieving that alignment.
All right, thank you. Another area that I think a lot of people struggle with is pain in the body, physical pain in the body. First off, is it ever random?
Well, certainly a human can look at some things as random if they make a quick movement and pull something or jerk something, but we would tell you that there's already tension in the body, or it would be quite pliable and that would not happen. So really everything has an emotional basis or a tie beneath it that is causing the issue that a human is struggling with. And so it is just to recognize that the way that you feel has an effect on the human apparatus that you are in, and especially when you hold on to emotions and then more and more situations and circumstances come that support the emotion that you have been readily holding, you will create layers of emotion. In actuality, sometimes it can feel like tension initially. And where is the tension really coming from? Well, you have desired something that is quite different in your experience by what you have felt. And so now there is a vibrational difference between you and what you're holding and what the divine part of yourself has created because of what you have held. And so the pressure or the tension that you feel is that pressing in of the divine energy, trying to enter you and deliver into your field what it is you would prefer, and then you holding this block or this negativity that does not match your source and therefore will not allow it to enter.
Okay. So I guess I would use the example of our pickleball. Like some mornings I will go and I'll be very stiff and sore, maybe, especially if I've played a lot. And then I get into it, and because I love it and I'm enjoying myself, all of a sudden I'm moving well and not thinking about being tight in certain areas. It kind of just lifts off of you. Does it have a lot to do with the things that you're doing, if you're doing things you love versus things you don't love, or is that not part of it?
Well, you have probably noticed that there are those that can play continuously and not really struggle with that problem. And then there are those that do. Yeah. And we would tell you that mass consciousness, or what is thought about or talked about in the masses, definitely has an influence over the human experience. And so as you go out into the world and you listen to those that are exercising, that are sore, that are tired, that are low in their performance, you then adopt the idea that if your performance is low, that then you are part of this agreement or feeling. Let's use that term. We are not saying that a human cannot tire themselves. Certainly you can. And oftentimes that happens when they are not yielding to or listening to themselves or their body. They push themselves to continue to go forward, even though they know it is not a good idea. They feel the fatigue, yet they do not honor it. Our recommendation to you would be to honor whatever it is that you feel for whatever reason. It could be because you are having something emotionally going on, or it could be because you have fatigued the body to the point where it does need a rest. But in both of those scenarios, the body is calling for a rest and you are not yielding to it.
Okay. All right. So let's move into whether it doesn't matter the emotion, whether it's anxiety, frustration, anger, whatever it might be. Let's talk about the emotion and how it's connected to a situation. We think it's connected to a situation, but we're actually sending a signal, and it's connected to if we're moving away from or closer to what we want. Can we get some clarity around that?
Yeah, this is one of the things that we struggle with those that we are in session with, because they feel that as a human, there must be more to do. There must be something that they need to change about the way that they feel or what they have chosen to feel. And that's not what it's about. It's about allowing the human to experience itself in form for the divine and choose a signal, an emotion based upon what it is that they prefer in their experience. Certainly, if something is happening that you don't prefer, a negative emotion is going to go out. Each of the emotions have an intricate tone or vibration to them. And as they are received by the divine counterpart of you, it knows exactly what your preference is. It goes on to make connections, circumstances, situations, and people will be culminated. This is all done by the divine. The transmutation of that energy is done after you send it. You as the human are done. Once you feel your experience, once you pick the signal in the way that you feel, you're done. But what happens is humans become attached to the signal. They hang on to what the negativity is that they felt. They don't like themselves in their anger. They don't like themselves in their control. They don't like themselves in their distrust, or perhaps even not believing that this process even works. And this creates resistance. The resistance that is created is not necessarily that any of that is true. The resistance is created that you have become something that you are moving away from and not a match to. The further that you start to move away from what you have created in the divine part of yourself, the more intensified those emotions will become. As a human feels anxiety, anger, and the extreme side of emotions, it is because they have created an extreme version of themselves that is quite different than what they are holding in their human form. The problem with the human is they think right away that it is about the situation. This one made me mad. This partner isn't, I should stay or not stay, whatever it is that they surmise by the feeling that they have. But we have tried to teach humans that take the circumstance, the people, and the situation out of the equation and simply look at where you are standing and imagine where your divine counterpart is standing and what it would like to feel in its experience. And very quickly, you will understand the intensity of the emotions you are feeling.
Okay, so I think this is a good time to bring up, I saw this wonderful little thing on Facebook about somebody spilling their coffee because someone bumped into them. And basically, the question is, why did you spill your coffee? And it's because, if you say it's because someone bumped into you, it's the wrong answer. And the analogy is just going on to say that whatever we are holding in our cup or whatever we are holding in our body is what's going to come out when we are rattled. If we're calm, collected, maybe we can fool somebody, or maybe we can smooth over something. But when we get in a situation that rattles us, whatever we're holding in our cup is what's going to come out. So if you're somebody who has a dominant emotion of anger or frustration, that's going to be the go-to emotion that flares when you have a situation like this. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, and in essence, that's what we were just talking about. You are going to be stimulated by those that you are in interaction with in the life that you're living, and they're going to mirror back to you or stimulate within you what it is that you are holding inside of you, you see. And many humans think that they are living with a bunch of people, but in some reality, you are living by yourself, because those people that are coming into exchange with you are actually coming to you because you match them in the tone that you're holding. And you can match them in a very lovely tone, a very aligned tone, or you could match them in a way that it stimulates something negative in you. We would like for you to move to the point or place when you become stimulated that you can actually smile at the stimulation and look at the one that brought it to you. And again, remove them from the equation and actually be grateful and appreciative that they have shown you something about yourself in the way that you're creating in your experience. This is mastery. It's what we have tried to teach you all along the way, is that you have the ability. It's why we wrote the book that we wrote, Choose Your Universe. You get to choose. You can choose in a reactive unconscious state, but you are still creating and not knowing it. Or you can wake up. You can decide that I notice how I feel, and by what I feel, I know there was a preference created, and therefore I am going to move myself in the direction of that preference so that I may create intentionally. The source part of you is what we would call full awareness or consciousness. It is awake. As you view yourself in full awakeness or consciousness, you are able to observe yourself and then decide from that point or place what it is that you want to choose in the way that you create your experience. A lot of the time, the human, because of its experience and its senses, it is not aware. It is asleep. It does not know that it is creating because it flies off the handle. It goes into the spilled cup of coffee that Heidi was talking about and thinks that someone that is responsible for bumping them and causing the spill. Once you realize that nobody spills the coffee but you, that you are the one that is choosing the emanation that is creating in the divine part of you, you can then start to move into mastery and actually guide yourself into the direction of the preference that you know was born by something you prefer not to feel.
Okay. So I have a question about the other, like another person. Like, say you have an interaction with someone and it stimulates anger in them, but they don't necessarily see it or view it as I mean, there's a level of belief that they create their own reality, but yet they don't really see that as theirs. They think, do you think they really don't see it? Or do you think that
they are asleep because they are stimulated? One that flies off the handle or receives a poke or a stimulation that enacts anger within them is not really consciously aware of how they are creating in their experience. We would refer to them sometimes as ignorant, and we know that that sounds distasteful to some people, but in some sense, you must be aware of how you create, or you are ignorant to it, you see. And so you would never have to defend yourself. And that's really what you're talking about here. Sometimes when people get stimulated in anger, they move to defense, or the idea that someone needs to be pushed away, or they have to defend against something. But they don't realize that even the defense that they are having to put up is being brought to them by something that they are holding within them. They have already long held that, probably in their lineage, we would tell you, is a big place of where defense comes from, because it gets passed right through the energy centers. There's a lot of negativity in some of your racial despair, in some of many different areas of human expression. And so that is what causes someone to think that they have to defend. If you were fully connected to your source, you would never have an experience that you needed to defend against, or that would make you angry of. You would have to hold something within you in order to have that experience. And the full accountability of that understanding is what will move you to mastery.
All right. And one of the other big questions that you think that people need more clarity on is loving yourself, or love of self. Could you explain more about that?
The love of self, sometimes it sounds a little sappy. We're not a sappy group. You probably know that if you've been listening to us, but it is the only way that we can describe how the connection occurs between the divine part of yourself and the human. As you hold something as a preference and you are not receiving it, a negative charge of energy or a negative emotion goes out of you, and the divine part of you receives it in love, the level of which it vibrates at, and it transmutes the energy to experiences that you would prefer, you see. And so you have to do, in some sense, what the universe is doing. You have to know that what you have emitted has been received, and trust that the universe has culminated an experience that it will flow to you, provided you can love yourself in what you sent. Oftentimes, when a human is controlling or angry or jealous, or whatever it is that they are holding in negativity, they start to dislike themselves in it, and then maintain that low vibration that they sent the signal out in. There is simply no way you can match your source, and this is what we mean by love of self, without loving your human simply for being the signal sender that it is. You don't need to change the emotion. You don't need to condemn it or judge it or make it different than what it was. You can have a little negativity go out of you. And as long as you accept the human for what it felt in its experience, in its free will, it will simply be released from the center and not cause you any more trouble. The problem comes in is this is not what humans are doing. And they don't believe that simply by just emanating love towards themselves and what it is that they feel, that this process could be completed. They think that they have to effort in their experience. They think they have to do something to be different than they are. They think that somehow they have to change what it is that they have felt. And all the while, as they go those methods, they create more and more resistance within the human, and actually lower the tone even further and make connection even harder. So we want you to understand that the human aspect of you came here with free will. And what does that mean? It means by all that I have ever lived and all the lineages that I have ever been a part of, that the universe trusts me to decide how I feel in my experience. I will pick a signal and I will send it to the divine, and it will know in every moment how it is that I prefer to feel by what it is that I have sent to it. There's no lack of trust. There's no judgment. There's no condemnation. There's just this clean, clear understanding. I get to choose, and the universe loves me in what I choose, and therefore I hold no resistance within me, and the flow can reach me.
Okay. Let's just touch on imagination. We haven't touched on that in a while. If someone is in an experience, maybe that in their existing life or whatever that they're not happy with, what role can imagination play for them? Like, I know some people have very vivid imaginations, and they can visualize all sorts of, kids' imaginary friends or all sorts of things. Can that really be applicable to your present life if you are in a state of imagination for long periods of times in happy thoughts or happy things
Yeah.
that you like.
If you are truly in that state of being or emanating that emotion. The problem is when some people go to imagine something, they try to falsely make themselves feel in a way that they are really not feeling. It is very important that you understand that the universe is attached to you and it feels you in your authentic state. So it knows if you are standing in a corner and repeating, I want to be rich, I want to be rich, I want a husband, I want a husband, I want to be thin, I want to be thin. Yeah. And all the while you are emanating non-belief. You do not believe that that is even a possibility. And so this practice would be fruitless, wouldn't it? It would not bring to you what it is that you are wanting. We would also tell you that when a human watches a film, for example, this is a very authentic way of creating, and sometimes it can be to their detriment, because they become so involved in the film that they are actually feeling exactly the way that they are feeling, and the universe is feeling them that way. And so it is to be careful how you apply imagination, because sometimes it can be enacted, especially when you enact the senses. When you are watching a movie, you are enacting your hearing, the eyes, the sounds, and you get pulled in, and therefore the emotive state or the value that you hold is very creative. And so if you can figure out a way to bring yourself into that creative state that you do, for example, when you are focused in a TV show that you are watching and emoting about it, some people are brought right to tears and actually emoting that same emotion like they are part of that film, and that is a creative energy. So it is important that you pay attention to the way that you feel in what it is you are participating in, because if that emotion is real to you, it will be real to the universe.
Yeah, so basically, if you are in an imagined state, you should be feeling real emotions that you want to feel.
Yes.
Versus ones you don't want to.
But we would also tell you that when there is contrast within the human, if they are trying to make themselves imagine, let's say, a relationship to be different than what it is, they already hold the contrast within them of what isn't. So it would not be an authentic state in most cases or scenarios. It would be difficult for them to actually emanate out that emotion that they are trying to demand themselves to do.
Yes, yes. All right. Well, thank you so much. It was so nice to be back on YouTube today. And please check out our website at athenaintruth.com for course information, Q&As, and upcoming events.
We are going to be more current with the YouTubes. We know that people love to participate in the free information. Robin gets away from it a little bit when she has gone to Florida, but she will be traveling back soon to where she spends most of her time. And so you can look forward to more YouTubes coming in the future, more podcasts, and more interaction with Heidi and Robin on the channel. Yes,
it's a good place that stimulates you for podcasts when you get back home. So definitely we'll be doing more once she gets settled back in the end of April.
Good day.